Hey everyone, welcome back. If you've ever felt pressure to grow up by buying a house, stay with us, because today we're asking a quiet but uncomfortable question. Has anyone else realized they don't actually want the house?
This one hits a nerve. For decades, it was sold as the ultimate milestone. Success, stability, adulthood. But lately, more people are pausing and doing the math.
And not just financial math, lifestyle math, stress math, freedom math.
Exactly the kind of stuff nobody brings up at family dinners. So let's start with a real situation many people relate to.
I'm a single 30-year-old man and I have enough saved for a down payment. But after running the numbers, it feels almost irrational. I'd put around $80K down, plus another $15 to $20K in closing costs, and my mortgage would still be higher than my current rent.
That already challenges the usual script, because the script says buying lowers your monthly cost. But that's not always true anymore, especially not in the last few years.
I understand the standard arguments. Rent goes up over time. A mortgage might go down if you refinance. But when I think about opportunity cost, it changes everything.
You're talking about what that money could be doing elsewhere.
Exactly. If I invest that money instead, it compounds. With a house, that money is locked. And then there's maintenance, time, unexpected repairs.
And risk.
Yes, the worst case scenario matters to me. If I lose my job, right now I can survive for about 5 years. If I buy a house, that cushion shrinks fast.
That sense of security is huge. People underestimate how powerful that feels. It's not greed, it's nervous system safety.
Unless I meet someone and want to start a family, I honestly don't see myself wanting to buy a house at all. And saying that out loud feels almost taboo.
Because the culture treats renting like failure, like you're avoiding adulthood. But let's bring in other perspectives.
One person said, I bought a house last year, and it's the first time in my adult life I don't have 6 months of expenses saved. I've been stressed about money constantly for the first time ever.
That's not a small trade-off. Peace of mind matters. Chronic financial stress has real health costs.
They added that they didn't buy the house as an investment. It was about lifestyle and emotion, and I respect that.
That's an important distinction. Buying a house as a lifestyle choice is very different from buying it as a financial strategy.
Yes, what frustrates me is when people oversell the financial upside. They ignore interest, taxes, insurance, repairs. Financially, for many people, it's close to a wash.
Which doesn't mean buying is bad, it means it's not automatically better. Context matters.
Another person said something that really stayed with me. They never wanted a house. I bought it for other people.
That sentence alone says a lot.
Their house is paid off now, and the people they bought it for have passed away. They're free to move, but staying is cheaper.
And yet?
They said they had more time, more social life, and less stuff when they rented. Now they're planning to spend years downsizing just to return to apartment living.
That challenges the idea that ownership equals freedom. Sometimes ownership is weight, physical and mental.
Exactly. More space often means more stuff means more maintenance means less time.
Which brings us to a simpler take someone shared. Quote, you need a place to live. Renting and owning both have pros and cons. Pick what fits your preferences and affordability, end quote.
That sounds obvious, but culturally, we don't act like it's neutral. We moralize it.
Especially with the phrase, renting is throwing money away.
That phrase annoys so many people for a reason. One person said, the crowd saying that ignores that interest, taxes, and repairs are sunk costs too.
That's financially accurate. Money spent on interest doesn't build equity, neither do taxes or insurance.
They pointed out that if rent is cheaper than a mortgage and you already have a 5-year safety net, you're not losing, you're buying flexibility.
Flexibility is underrated, especially if your career, city, or life direction might change.
And keeping that $100K invested instead of tied up in a house can be a valid long-term strategy without becoming house poor.
Of course, someone pushed back. They said rent is rarely cheaper than a mortgage because landlords pass on all costs and more.
And another renter responded strongly. They said their rent absolutely includes property taxes and maintenance. The owner isn't paying those costs out of kindness. The tenant is covering them monthly.
That's an important clarification. Rent isn't charity, it's just packaged differently.
They added that if you earn well enough, you can sometimes do both. Pay a mortgage, build equity, and still invest.
That's true for some people, but not most. And that's where outdated advice becomes dangerous.
Another person pointed that out clearly. They said the old playbook doesn't work anymore. Before 2018, buying was often cheaper than renting. Now, that's rarely the case.
Costs have exploded. Home prices, interest rates, contractor fees.
They said even working extreme hours and saving everything can still leave you house poor today. That wasn't always true.
That's a generational shift, and pretending it hasn't happened just creates shame.
Exactly. Buying a house used to be a financial slam dunk. Now it's a complex, risky, deeply personal choice.
And we're only halfway through this conversation. In the next part, we'll dig into long-term arguments, market cycles, appreciation, and the emotional cost of waiting or committing.
Because this isn't about telling people what to do, it's about questioning assumptions and giving people permission to choose differently.
If you've ever felt relief imagining not owning a house, you're not alone, and that matters. One argument that always comes up next is appreciation. People say, homes always go up in value. It sounds reassuring, almost guaranteed, but reality is more complicated than that.
Someone broke it down with numbers. They said home prices increased about 300% over the last 30 years. Using my $80K down payment as an example, that assumes a $400K house turning into $1.2 million.
On paper, that looks incredible. It feels like proof that buying is the smart move. But those numbers hide a lot of lived experience and a lot of risk along the way.
Exactly. That calculation ignores decades of interest payments. It ignores repairs, upgrades, insurance, and taxes. And it assumes you can emotionally ride out every downturn.
Someone responded who was about 15 years older. They said they lived through years where that growth wasn't happening, and also through years with brutal declines. They said you have to be mentally tough to stay invested.
That part really matters. People talk about long-term averages like they're smooth lines, but living through volatility feels very different, especially when your home is tied to your identity.
A house isn't just an asset. It's where you sleep, worry, and plan your future. Watching its value drop hits differently than seeing numbers move in a brokerage account.
And there's another assumption baked into appreciation talk, that you stay put for decades, that life doesn't interrupt, that you never need to sell at the wrong time.
Job loss, divorce, illness, burnout. Life rarely follows a clean 30-year projection. Liquidity matters more than people admit.
That's why my 5-year safety net feels so important. It gives me psychological breathing room. I make better decisions when I'm not trapped, and ownership would change that equation.
Some people hear that and think fear, but it can also be self-knowledge. Knowing how you respond to pressure is wisdom.
Another theme that kept showing up was stress. Several homeowners admitted they felt constant low-level anxiety, not regret, but weight. Bills, repairs, responsibility that never fully shuts off.
Contrast that with renters who talked about sleep, about freedom to relocate, about not panicking when something breaks. Those things don't show up in spreadsheets.
And yet, some renters admitted something else, a sense of impermanence, a feeling of not fully settling. So it's not one-sided.
That's the truth people avoid. There is no perfect option. Only trade-offs you personally can live with, and trade-offs you can't.
I think the real problem is moral pressure. The idea that if you don't buy, you're irresponsible, immature, or wasting potential. That narrative causes harm.
Especially when circumstances have changed so much. Wages didn't triple like housing prices did. Stability isn't guaranteed anymore. Mobility has become survival for many.
Someone said something simple but grounding. They said, pick what fits your life right now, not what fit your parents' life, not what worked 20 years ago.
That advice respects timing. You might rent now and buy later. You might buy and then go back to renting. Neither is failure.
What I notice is how defensive people get, on both sides, as if choosing differently invalidates their own choice. That insecurity drives a lot of loud opinions.
Because housing isn't just shelter. It's tied to worth, success, and safety. Questioning it feels like questioning the system itself, and that makes people uncomfortable.
For me, the biggest realization was honesty. Admitting I don't want the stress right now. Admitting I value liquidity and calm. Admitting that renting fits my current life.
And that honesty doesn't close doors. It keeps them open. You're not saying never, you're saying not blindly.
I think more people feel this way than admit it. They just don't say it out loud because it goes against the script they were handed. But scripts can be outdated.
Especially when the rules of the game changed. Higher prices, higher rates, less certainty.
So maybe the real question isn't, why don't you want a house, but what kind of life are you optimizing for, and at what cost?
Peace, flexibility, growth, community, security, those things look different for everyone. A house can support them or undermine them.
If owning brings you grounding and joy, that's valid. If renting gives you freedom and safety, that's valid too.
The danger is pretending there's only one adult answer. There isn't. Never was. We're just more aware now.
And maybe that awareness is the real upgrade. Not square footage, not equity curves, but permission to choose consciously.
If this conversation stirred something in you, that's worth sitting with. Not rushing to fix, just noticing.
Because realizing you don't really want a house isn't failure. Sometimes it's clarity, and clarity is powerful.